In this video, you'll learn the basic assembly steps for Benchmark Insulated Concrete Forms. This assembly pamphlet has more details and it was included with your forms. If you have any questions, please contact your Benchmark form supplier. For most projects, you'll need some basic carpentry hand tools. Tape measure, level, hammer, pliers, coarse tooth handsaw, utility knife, chalk line, string line, tin snips, and the ladder. Power tools you will need: variable speed drill screwdriver and a circular saw. Have an inventory of good quality wood 2x4s for braces and 2-inch lumber for bulkheads at the doors and windows. A supply of these wooden grade stakes, as well as 2-inch and 3-inch coarse threaded drywall screws, a roll of 16 gauge wire, and an inventory of plastic washers like these. You'll also need high quality expandable foam glue, a glue gun, and some cleaner. The basic parts of your Benchmark form inventory include these folded pre-assembled blocks. They're installed with the male castellations on top. Each block has a mark every 2 inches. There's also a special mark every 6 inches to indicate where a concealed furring strip and spacer tie is located. These 16-foot lengths of steel in-wall bracing help keep your assembled form straight from corner to corner. They do not replace the steel reinforcing which may be needed. Contact your local building inspector or code office for information on rebar size and placement. Your Benchmark form inventory might include special items like this 45-degree corner tie or this pre-assembled brick ledge block. You may also be using scaffold brackets like this to brace the forms and provide a work platform. Any construction job site can be dangerous, so begin your project by dressing for safety. You and your crew need hard hats, safety glasses, work gloves, and shoes or boots suited for your project. Make sure your entire crew has seen this video, read the instruction manual, and knows what needs to be done to complete this project. The building inspection department for your city or county have codes and regulations for all kinds of buildings. Some codes apply to proper wiring and plumbing, while other codes apply to concrete construction and general engineering. Before you begin, get some tips from a building pro or contact your building inspection department to learn what codes apply to insulated concrete forms and reinforced concrete. To get an accurate job, the concrete footings or pad must be level and wide enough for the forms, at least 8 inches wider than the concrete wall. Check with local building codes to be sure you're following the minimum specs for width and thickness of your concrete foundation. Snap a chalk line along one side of the project. It should be 2 1/8 inches beyond the location of the concrete wall. This line will be your guide to glue down the first row of forms, so be sure it's accurate. If vertical reinforced steel is required, cast 24-inch lengths into the footing or pad so they'll extend out of the concrete about 16 inches. Spacing will be dictated by local building codes. Place 2-inch pieces of 2-inch PVC plumbing pipe over the rebar. They'll be used later to receive the vertical rebar. As a safety precaution, temporarily cover the rebar ends with commercial mushroom caps and remove them before assembling the wall forms.
Begin assembly of your project at the corners and work your way to the center of each wall. Starting with either a left or right corner block, apply expandable foam glue along the bottom of the assembled corner. Press it firmly into the chalk line. The foam glue will set within 15 to 20 minutes depending on temperature. Firmly anchor two 24-inch 2x4s along the chalk line at the point of each corner.
Assemble the first course of forms and glue them to the concrete footing or pad. At the center of a wall between corners, you may need to custom trim the last block and remove the tongue from the adjoining block. Glue the cut blocks together as you place them. Reinforce the custom seam by installing 2 block locks like this. Slide the lock through the tie ports and give it a quarter turn to lock it in place. Vertical form braces should be placed 6 to 8 feet apart along rows of spacer ties. If the braces will also be used to support the work platform, braces should also be placed at the corners to support the platform. Wherever a vertical brace will be located, a 24-inch length of 16-gauge wire is pressed through the form and wrapped around the spacer tie so it extends out like this. The wire will be used to anchor the form to the vertical brace.
To assemble the second course, firmly press the alternating corner block onto the first course so it's fully seated. Left corners and right corners are used to alternate seams along the flex block wall. Continue assembling the wall by alternating left and right corners. This technique produces alternating seams throughout the assembled wall.
As your assembly continues, place the horizontal rebar between the window and door openings as required. Rebar fits into the spacer tie pockets and should be wire tied about every 4 feet to keep it in place. Install a second wire anchor at the top of the third row of forms for the vertical braces. Steel in-wall bracing is being installed at the 4-foot height and will be placed at the top of the wall. For a 9-foot wall, 3 rows of bracing should be installed, including the top of the wall. Once the wall is partially assembled, it's time to install our vertical bracing. Make sure there is no space between the vertical brace and the foam form. Your wire ties need to be firmly attached around the vertical bracing. This is done by twisting them with your pliers. An adjustable 2x4 diagonal brace is attached to each vertical brace using 3-inch drywall screws. In this project, a light form scaffold bracket is being used to receive the diagonal brace. Diagonal braces must be anchored at the bottom of the form. In this project, an adjustable turnbuckle has been attached and will be anchored to a grade stake. Commercial turnbuckles allow for precise adjustment and can be purchased or rented. Light form scaffold brackets are used to support a work platform. Use scaffold rated planks or good quality 2x12 planks and anchor them securely to the brackets. If the platform is not used, assembly can continue using a rolling scaffold or ladders. Continue assembly to full height, adding wire ties every 32 inches and anchoring the form to the vertical braces. Install block locks and corner locks at all common seams and corner seams. Place horizontal rebar as needed between window and door openings. Install steel in-wall bracing along the top of the form. Install the wire ties at the top row of spacer ties and anchor the vertical braces. Place vertical rebar by lowering it into the PVC collars at the bottom of the wall. Rebar should stop approximately 1 inch short of the top of the assembled wall. To keep it from shifting, wire tie it to a spacer tie or steel in-wall brace. Bulkheads for doors and windows are constructed of 2-inch lumber which has been cut to fit the form cavity. A 2x10 plank was cut down to fit this 8-inch concrete wall. The forms are anchored to the jambs and header bulkheads with 3-inch drywall screws and plastic washers spaced every 8 inches. Before anchoring, check to be sure the wood bulkheads are plumb and level. If you are using prefabricated plastic bulkhead material, follow the manufacturer's instructions for attaching it to the forms. Set aside the vertical bracing and wood bulkheads for windowsills. These will be installed later during concrete placement. You may wish to place the 2-inch lumber bulkheads on the face of the cut insulation. This technique is done by attaching furring strips of 3/4 inch plywood or 1x4 lumber on both sides of the opening and anchoring it to the form and the bulkhead material. For door openings, the jamb bulkhead should be about a 1/2 inch short to allow the forms to settle during concrete placement. Now is the time to cut in the utility line blockouts through the form wall. Breaks can quickly be repaired by having a blowout kit available before you order the concrete. A blowout kit consists of 2 18-inch lengths of 2x4 studs and a length of 1/4 inch all thread. Washers and nuts are used to secure the ends. If a form breaks, remove the built-up concrete and reposition or replace the broken insulation. Place the blowout kit over the break and tighten snugly until the insulation is back in alignment. Remove the kit about 30 minutes after concrete is placed and seal the bolt hole with expandable foam glue. Projecting brick ledges are assembled by using these 12-inch tall fold form brick ledge blocks. 4-inch tall filler blocks are provided to extend the height of the brick ledge block to the full 16 inches. They can be placed below or above the brick ledge block. Contact your Benchmark form supplier for complete instructions on assembling, reinforcing, and bracing your brick ledge block. When form assembly is complete, it's a good idea to run a string line from corner to corner and make final adjustments of vertical braces as needed. Go through a quick checklist to be sure your project is ready for concrete. Is rebar in place and tied off? Are all windows and door bulkheads braced? Are corners plumb from top to bottom? Are vertical braces wire tied to the forms? Does each vertical brace have a diagonal brace? Has final alignment been checked? Have utility holes been cut and temporarily blocked? Is a blowout kit handy? Is someone assigned to check for blowouts? For most projects, concrete should be ordered with a design strength of 2,500 to 3,000 pounds per square inch, usually called a 5-bag mix. Smooth aggregate of 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch is recommended. Order concrete with a 4 to 6 inch slump. Use this simple formula to estimate how much concrete you'll need. Height in feet times length in feet times thickness in inches times 0.0031 equals cubic yards. Concrete is typically placed with a concrete pump. To minimize the risk of form failure, the discharge pressure from the pump should be reduced with a double 90-degree elbow, a hose reducer, or a hose harness. For winter projects, be sure to keep snow or ice from building up inside the forms. The forms must be clean when concrete is placed. Move around the form, filling it in 4-foot lifts or layers. In about 30 minutes, the concrete will support its own weight and another layer can be placed. For best results, place a maximum of 2 lifts per hour. Concrete can be consolidated with a 1-inch internal vibrator or an external vibrator like this. For window bulkheads, be sure to completely fill the area along the sills and place about 6 to 10 inches of concrete on both sides of the bulkhead. Now you can anchor the sill bulkhead, install a 2x4 vertical brace, and resume concrete placement. During placement, a crew member should be on the lookout for any form breaks or failures so they can be repaired quickly. In this project, Benchmark forms will be used for the upper walls, so the castellations at the top of the form were removed before concrete placement. The upper forms will be completely glued to the lower forms with expandable foam glue. In this project, the upper walls will be wood framed, so J-bolts are being placed to anchor the wood sill plate for the frame wall. Wait at least 24 hours before removing the form braces. For best results on basements or below grade projects, a good quality self-adhesive 60 mil waterproofing membrane is recommended. It should be applied from grade level down over the concrete footing. Follow the manufacturer's directions for proper placement and sealing. As an alternate, good quality liquid waterproofing can be placed by a certified applicator. Benchmark forms are specially designed for the quick application of virtually any type of exterior or interior finish. Mesh, siding, or drywall can be attached directly to these concealed strips with drywall screws or manufacturer-approved fasteners. Stucco, EIFS, and a variety of synthetic masonry finishes can be applied directly onto the insulation. Electrical and plumbing lines are usually concealed in the insulation by carving a pathway approximately 1.5 inches deep with a saw, router, or hot knife. For junctions or switch boxes, insulation is completely removed and the items are anchored directly to the concrete. We want your project to go smoothly, so if you have any installation questions, contact your Benchmark form supplier. Your Benchmark form supplier can provide you with any installation steps which are not covered in this video.